How's it going, everybody? Doing a horror video game ramble here today while eating some popcorn. I was planning on doing a horror game, ramble again. I've been doing these, I think, around this time of year for a little bit. And then someone was mentioning, like, doing another horror type ramble with popcorn, so I said, alright. Then someone else was saying, oh, try to do it in a place where, like, it's a little more Halloweeny. The only place I really have is the garage. I don't feel like going in the shed. I don't know how it would look. It is during the day here. I don't even have the light on. I thought it'd be a little darker, but it's not. What are you gonna do? But I have a couple of games here that I'll talk about. Not like talk about, but show. And I'll talk about other ones as well. I want to grab a bunch. You start with older stuff, like Resident Evil here. This is the director's cut, which introduced the DualShock. You can use the DualShock for this one. First in the Resident Evil series, not the first horror game. You had Alone in the Dark was before this. Even Doom was like a horror shooter and stuff, and you could probably go back and stuff like Clock Tower, back on the Super Nintendo and stuff. You know, there was older stuff, but oddly enough, my first experience with Resident Evil 1 was the remake on the GameCube. I had seen people play this. I never owned a PlayStation. My first experience with Resident Evil was Resident Evil 2 on the Nintendo 64. And that was cool. Hold on a second. I wanted to open this a little more, so maybe not hitting the bag as much. I love the Resident Evils. I've talked about Resident Evils before. I don't find many of them creepy, especially those early ones. The first one that really creeped me out was 7. 7's when they brought it into first person. 7 is a fantastic game. Where is it? I have it here. I gotta move some stuff. This is the gold edition with all the cool DLC and Zoe and the band footage stuff. Not a Hero was free to download once it came out. The Bedroom and I think it's Bedroom Nightmare and Jack's 55th birthday are awesome. Like, Jack's 55th birthday is like a arcade style thing where you gotta get points. You gotta like bring him food. And you get points and stuff and you're on a timer. You do the Saw type one with Lucas. He's got you like attached to a chair and you're doing Saw type stuff there. It's really cool. And then the one with Marguerite was like the cameraman and you're tied to the bed. And every time she leaves, you have to try to do stuff. But when she comes back, you have to go back in the bed and shit. And everything has to be the same or she'll know. It was actually really cool DLC. For me, it was a legitimately creepy game. And this one, in my opinion, is leaps and bounds better than Village. I liked Village the first time I played it. My second playthrough, I didn't like it as much. Now, both times, it just was not as creepy as this one, outside of the part in the house. It's like the doll maker one or whatever. I forget the name of that person. With the deformed giant baby will eat you and you gotta like hide under the bed. That was creepy. The rest of that game was not creepy. It's not a bad game by any means, but compared to this, honestly, in my opinion, it's not even close. But you have all the other Resident Evils in between. 2, 3. Code Veronica, which is, I don't know if it's still my favorite. I do enjoy that game. I have it downloaded on the Xbox One. I originally played that on Dreamcast. But yeah, you got stuff like this is the remake of it. Where did I put it? Resident Evil 4 kind of changed the game, especially for Resident Evil. You couldn't move and shoot still. That came, I think in the first Revelations game they did that. In this one you still couldn't move. Well, in this remake you can move and shoot. But in the original you couldn't, but it had the better view of behind the back view. So you could see everything. You weren't like, oh, here comes a random zombie off screen that you can't see when you're trying to shoot it. This is a fantastic game though. The remake's great too. You got Leon again in this one. 4 is great. And at the time you were just like, oh yeah, holy shit. The fact that you could never move and shoot in those was weird. Because there was other, Silent Hill and stuff you could always move from the beginning. Well, attack. I enjoy Resident Evil. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is really creepy to me. But all throughout, they're good. It's a good series. They have like offshoots, like the Revelations, or what was the one called? Operation Raccoon City, which was kind of like a more of an online kind of team shooter where you'd use like Umbrella, I think, or Stars guys. I forget. There was other like Dead Aim and shit. There was the Outbreak games on the PS2. That was I played the first one. I did not play the second. The light gun shooter ones that they put out on the Wii, they may have made their way onto the other consoles for download. I'm not sure. Those were cool. I played the first one. I wanted to play the second one. I think the second one was the Dark Side Chronicles. The first one was the Umbrella Chronicles. You're going through like the games and stuff, but it's like a light gun shooter. Like parts of like each kind of game or a certain amount of games. And you have stuff like, where is it? The Silent Hill series, Heal. I don't know why I didn't grab Silent Hill F or 2, but whatever. 4 here, Silent Hill 4 The Room. This is an underrated Silent Hill in my opinion. I love this game. It's probably my second favorite behind 2. I talked about 2 a ton. It's my favorite game of all time. And the remake was fantastic for me. They did a great job with the remake. I was concerned. I was getting a little concerned too when playing it. Because I thought it was going to turn into an enemy fest, but it didn't. And the facials, animations, and shit in that remake were incredible. And I talked about this probably in the review and other videos. The way they talk in Silent Hill 2, even in the original, the voice acting wasn't as good. The conversations didn't flow. They were kind of awkward and stuff, bumping into people and just kind of talking to them. It's not like in a lot of games, like in Uncharted. It's just quip after quip. Everybody has the perfect thing to say at every time, which I don't mind. Although Uncharted gets a little annoying by like the 4th game where you're like, okay, dude. But the voice acting was great, and the fact that, like, when James is talking to Angel and stuff, like, it was awkward, and that's just, like, just the way that it was, like, going like a real conversation, almost, of someone you just kind of bumped into in a cemetery, The remake was great. The original's my favorite. This is a great one, too. This originally wasn't supposed to be a Silent Hill game. And then they just like put Silent Hill on it. Because this is when you're trapped in your room, you wake up and you can't get out of your room. It's the chains and everything on your door. You gotta go through like a tunnel in your bathroom. And then you're going to different areas and stuff. Really good story in this one that plays off of it's Walter Sullivan, the killer from, you never see him, but he's like a serial killer, I think, and he's mentioned in 2. Once again, creepy. Once again, some of the controls kind of suck and the combat's not great. But the story's really cool, and the enemies, of course, look great, and the soundtracks and all of these are fantastic by Akira Yamaoka. He didn't do a Downpour one. He did Homecoming, which I don't like Homecoming. I didn't mind Downpour, though. There's also one on the Vita that was like a dungeon crawler. I think it was called Book of Memories. I had that briefly. I wish I kind of still had it because it has more value now, but it was just dungeon crawler. It was not doing it for me. And yeah, like the Fatal Frame series. This is 3. This is the one. Well, I own 2 of them, but they're on Made in Blackwater and Mask of Lunar Eclipse, but they're downloaded on the Wii U and the PS4. I'd love to buy the first 2. I used to own the first 2 back in the day on the Xbox. But now they're like $80, $90, $100, even on the Xbox. And they're a little more expensive on the PS2. This one is too. I got this one for $50 new in 2020 off Amazon. And I should have gotten Crimson Butterfly as well. And I didn't. They had all 3 of them, I think, for $50. This one's creepy. Fatal Frame to me is extremely creepy. The series, it just is. A lot of ghosts. You're using the camera obscura. That's how you battle. It's cool. The better film you get, the better, damage you're doing. You can then you line the ghosts up. You hold on long enough, you can get the Fatal Frame. They're creepy games. All of them that I've played. Full. Silent Hill F has that vibe of Fatal Frame. A big part of that is because it's in Japan. So you have that familiarness with both of those games. Silent Hill F, I've been playing. I played a little bit more of it actually last night. This is going. I'm filming this on Wednesday. It's going up Thursday, but so I'm trying to get into a groove with that. Fatal Frame, Silent Hill are extremely creepy to me. Stuff like Dead Space, I love. They're more action shooters, sci-fi action horror shooters, but they're not creepy to me. But some people, they creep them out. Other people don't get creeped out by Fatal Frame. I do, so it's kind of an individual person thing, right? I forgot about like Resident Evil 5 was like the action straight up. You could classify Resident Evil 4 as kind of moving towards the action horror. 5 is a straight up action horror game, and I love 5, but that's what it is. And 6, I played some of the scenarios, but I couldn't get into it. I did Leon's scenario, I think Ada's, and I think Chris's, and I was doing Wesker's Kid one. And I was just like, it wasn't doing it for me. Dead Spaces are cool though. I was a little put off by the remake. I didn't hate it, but I feel it was so much like the original. And then you get horror shooters like Fear games. This is Fear 2, Project Origin. I've never played Fear 3. I need to get it off the Xbox store at some point because it always goes on sale for like $4. It's not expensive to get anyway. I could just buy it for the 360 if I want the physical copy. The first one's cool. I played the first one on the 360. The first one I think was originally on the PC, and then it ported over to the 360, or they came out around the same time. These are the same people that make another, I'll talk about in a minute though, the Condemned Games, Monolith. I think they were shut down somewhat recently. By whoever owns them. It might have been Bethesda or some shit, I don't know. You have Alma in this one. It's very Ring-ish Alma. But it's awesome. You were like her kids. You and your brother is in the second one, who's like a spirit. And what does it stand for again? Damn it, it's not gonna tell me, is it? You're the point man in the first one. You are not the point man in this one. And then you are again in the third one. And what's the brother's name? Paxton Fentel. Is that his name? Fennel or whatever. You're Michael Bennett in this one. But creepy locations, creepy stuff. You can slow down time in this, like Max Payne and shit. And you're shooting people. The combat's super fucking fun in this. The Fear games are really cool and they're fast paced. At least the first two. Like I said, I never played the third one, but they're fast paced and fun. I'm gonna kind of go all over the place here. You got stuff like The Quarry. I didn't want to grab all of these games. Until Dawn, The Quarry, Hidden Agenda, and all the Dark Pictures games. They're all made by Supermassive Games. To me, these games are like an evolution of traditional point-and-click games. King's Quest, Police Quest, Space Quest, all the others that were made back in the day. It's like an evolution of it. Because these are all horror games too that they do. Dark Pictures are all like in the series. The Quarry and Until Dawn and Hidden Agenda are their own thing. This is like it's like you're at a camp like Friday the 13th, but it's not. Jason's not on the prowl. It's spoilers, werewolves. I like this one. Some people don't like this one. You have to make choices, dialogue choices, and certain things, or doing certain things will determine like how if people have a better chance of living or dying. Everybody can die in these games. Everybody can live. Some can die. Some can live. So some replay value there. They're not overly long. But it's like that, you got, sometimes it got a lot of button pressing in these games. And sometimes it's cheesy as hell. It happened in Until Dawn at the end where I had to like hold the breath. I lost another character because hold your breath like 3 different times and I botched it the last time. So it's a little trial and error there and all of a sudden you lose a character. They did better with it as it went on. And they usually get some kind of, this one has a lot of known actors, but the other ones would have a few. And then people that are in, at least Dark Pictures games, you have people that are in all of them. Kind of pop up the same, they're just playing different characters, obviously. I like these kind of games though. They're fun. You got underappreciated games or underrated games like the Evil Within games. This one's awesome. Admittedly, I did not play all this first one, but this one I did play and it was fantastic. This was gifted to me. I think, were any of these other ones? I'm not sure. I can't remember. So thank you to the person that gifted me this one. I think I did a gameplay on this. This one was cool and creepy and weird. This Tango Gameworks was also shut down. Bethesda definitely owned them because they're on the back. EA maybe had Monolith, I don't know. These are creepy games with weird, creepy boss fights and stuff. A lot of cool stuff in these games. Sometimes uncomfortable with some of the stuff in them. But like another one is like, I should have grabbed Sinking City. I forgot to grab it and Call of Cthulhu. The Cthulhu games. I love Sinking City. And Call of Cthulhu is good too. Both, no, Sinking City is in third person. Call of Cthulhu is first person. Both, you start to lose it over time in the game and stuff, and you can lose it worse if you do certain things. Sinking City's better because it's like open world, and you gotta look at your map and you're solving clues because you're a detective and stuff, and you're doing things. Both underrated games, though, in my opinion, as is Evil Within 2. And the first, it still is. I played enough of it to know it. And let's not forget, there's tons of stuff on Steam and the PC. You could play all types of freaking small level, bigger level horror games on there. I have some downloaded, but there are endless amounts. This is more just like the kind of disc-based stuff. Some of that stuff is also on the Xbox or the PlayStation. There's a ton of stuff, like I'm missing tons because I have not played a lot of it. But I'm going by the stuff I've played. Phobia, this is more of a small budget game. This is like a throwback to like a PS2 Xbox Cube era game. I got up to a point in this where I was screwed, and the controls kind of suck in this, but it's charming, this game, and it's not bad. I gotta go back to an earlier save and maybe get more healths or something, because I was fighting this boss fight, and I kept dying because the controls are so bad, and I needed more like health things and stuff, but it still has its cool stuff to it. Phobia, St. Dinfa Hotel. If you've played this, you know it's like a very throwback-ish type of thing. You have stuff like the Little Nightmares games as well. Smaller scale stuff that is also creepy and also has really creepy design and stuff. There's a lot of different things, and I'm obviously not touching on a lot of it because I've not played a lot of it. You've got the Alan Wakes. This is the second one. I've played the first. I don't own it physical copy anymore. I have it on the Xbox One. Because I think it was free. One time it was just like a free download. I was like, I'll download it. The first one's cool. I have not beaten this one yet. What I've played, if it's good, I need to go back to it like a lot of other games. I like the Alan Wakes. They're not generally creepy to me. but they're well done and they control well and stuff. The story's pretty cool as well. You have the Alone in the Darks and stuff like that, although they've had some shitty games. I forgot to grab that one too. You got stuff like this, the Deathmark game. So this is more horror. This one's more gameplay, but the other NG and the other Deathmark are they're like novel horror, visual horror games. In a way, they still are even in this one, but there's a lot more control over your character in this. You're doing more. I like these games. They're cool. They're also creepy. They play on a lot of Japanese urban legends and stuff. And the creepy creature design and shit. It's cool. I like these kind of games actually quite a bit. There's a lot of. I gotta lay off this for a minute. You got a lot of that stuff too. I don't eat the whole bag here, but what else? There's. I'm trying to think of some stuff I forgot. The Blair Witch game. Actually, the more recent Blair Witch I liked quite a bit. It's made by the same Bloober team, I think. They've done a couple. I think they did Layers of Fear too, maybe, or something. They've done the Medium, I believe, might have been theirs. And so was that other. Yeah, the Medium was. I was thinking of Murdered Soul Suspect. That's not them. Medium is. And they did Silent too. They got something else, I think, coming out, or it might already be out. I don't know. I forget what it's called. You have stuff like I haven't played it, but like Still Wakes the Deep. There's different stuff like that. The Thing is that was an Xbox and PS2 game. They did the remastered recently. That's an awesome horror game that has the team elements where you have to keep your team calm because people start thinking someone's the thing and shit. That's a really good. That's another underrated game. Halo. The first Halo. You can describe, once the Flood come into the play, you can describe Halo as a horror shooter. Especially when the Flood first get introduced. It's like creepy. It's cool. Sci-fi. You have stuff like Alien Isolation, which is awesome, where you get more hide and stuff like that. And that's like the Clock Tower games, or mainly the Clock Tower games. I only have experience with Clock Tower 3. The one that was PS2. Oh, it's that game had pretty gory cutscenes too, showing the death of people. For the time, definitely. Alright, so there's tons. Tons I haven't played. But I have played a lot. You got stuff like White Day. That's another kind of low budget one. Akai. Resident Evil's the big series, though, that's the one I think people know the most. But what's that other one? I played some of the one. There's been a few. Why can't I remember? Amnesia. Those are creepy. The ones that I've played parts of and stuff. Those are really creepy too. Even some of the stuff that I got, it's not horror really, but like Payne's Creek Killing and stuff, and the suicide of Rachel Foster. That's more like paranormal and stuff. Payne's Creek Killing is more kind of like a very slow-paced kind of thriller detective thing. But there's so much horror now. Like back, during the PS2 Xbox Cube era, and even before, you didn't get a ton. Although PS2, GameCube, Xbox era was starting to. You had multiple Silent Hills, you had multiple Resident Evils, Fatal Frames, Rule of Rose, Haunting Ground, the Kuon, the games that are like $900 now. You had the Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth on the Xbox. The Thing, there was good stuff. Obscure. I never played the second one. The first one was cool. I have them both on Steam now. That was a cool one. Co-op. What else did you have back then? There was other ones too. I'm trying to think of some of the other. Geist was like a paranormal one. That was a cube game. Eternal Darkness was a cube. So it was a great game. That game was cool because it had random stuff would happen and you didn't realize it at the time. There's like a sanity thing in it, but all of a sudden, like it would look like your TV volume was going down, or it would say like something was corrupted, like your memory card. It would do weird stuff like that. You'd be like, what the hell? Your controller was not plugged in and stuff. Kind of similar, a little similar to some of this stuff they would do in like Metal Gear Solid. But Extermination was one. That was on the PS2. Cold Fear. That one was on a ship, which is kind of cool. Those were still during the PS2. Most of them were on PS2 and Xbox. And obviously on Cube, you got the Resident Evil stuff. And Geist, Eternal Darkness. No Silent Hills, no Fatal Frames. On Nintendo consoles. And then Fatal Frame did end up coming to Nintendo later on with 4 and 5 were exclusive for a while. Those were cool. That was a good time, like to get survival horror stuff. It was a good time, but there still wasn't what there is now. Like now, there's horror games. Look, not all of them are good, but they're all over the place. There's a ton. It's a massive genre now. To me, the horror games are so much more creepier than a movie because you're playing it. You're the one turning the corner. You're the one, especially, I forgot to mention VR. VR, I gotta turn my VR headset on. It's been so long. One more, just one. I'm gonna end this in a few minutes anyway. After I talk about this, Resident Evil 4 on the Oculus 2, I think it is, was awesome. What an experience. You're going like this, you're loading the gun and stuff. It was so cool. It was so cool. And I played the Paranormal Activity game. It was creepy as hell on there. I did another one called Affected the Manor. That was creepy. There's a part where the room twists and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna puke. Because I don't do well with that kind of stuff. But like VR is made, in my opinion, for the horror shit. Creep people out and stuff. It's awesome. But anyway, I'm going to turn this off now. It's getting a little loud. That's pretty damn loud. I don't know how distracting it is on your end, but to me, it's distracting. But anyway, just a horror movie, a horror game rant, sorry. Eating some popcorn and, and thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.